Hello everyone, we're on the good channel and I'm really happy that we're on this channel with you. And when I say we, it also includes the champion Uzi Dayan. Hello to you.
Hello, hello.
Uzi, I laid out a bunch of questions for you, one by one. Let's start with this question. Are we currently in an improved alpha state, by the way, regarding the alpha?
We're in a better position, but we haven't reached that level yet. You can show it in the simplest way possible. Let's take Gaza and Lebanon, for example, and we can add to that. We're in a situation where we need to make a decision, take action, and you'll see the results. Is the Iron Swords War just another round, like the ones we've seen before, with more to come after it? Or is this a war that truly changes the entire Middle East? If we take Gaza, for example, if we don't dismantle Hamas, then it's just another round with Hamas. The situation in Gaza is really tough. But, you know, a terrorist organization just needs to survive to feel like it's winning. If we manage to bring him down and kick him out of the Gaza Strip, this means we're not talking about another round. We're talking about a war that practically changed the situation, and that's true in other places too.
I'm not asking you to stay here longer than you planned, because we've covered the topics we prepared. And you also brought up the subject of Gaza. I'm looking at Gaza, and on one hand I'm saying that we've done something for the first time in I don't know how many years. In my opinion, 15 to 20 years ago, we finally took the steps we should have been taking all along. We told you. We signed an agreement with you, you broke it, everything is off the table. I'm learning from what they planned, that we won't act aggressively, meaning no aggressive behavior. And we won't tolerate anything that's not specified. But I'm looking at the glasses then. What am I seeing? I see police officers standing there in their uniforms, about a meter or maybe 100 meters before the checkpoint, and they're waving hello. You're moving under our authority and protection. I'm hearing the numbers of the new recruits and all that stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, basically Hamas is about to get back on its feet. He's already in control of Gaza today.
Here's the money.
What they did.
You're absolutely right, up to this point, because we had a war in Gaza that took way too long. She didn't do the right thing, which was to take control of Gaza. Gaza should have looked like Germany in 1945 today, with the army controlling everywhere. We should have started this earlier.
Why aren't we doing this, Uzi? Do you have an explanation? I don't know all the mechanisms we made.
It's because of the military's approach to how they fight terrorism. A misconception is something we can call simplification. We are going to hit their strength. Let's take a look and respond to this. It requires a situation where the winners don't engage in terrorism and your actions lead to victory. Germany, 1945 complete military control. And the citizen, what's it about in Gaza, is just 50 by 10. Generally speaking, so it should have been done already, it's not too late. But it needed to be done.
I'll check with you soon if it's not too late. I want to go one step back. Is it because of the overall strategic perception? Oligarchy. Let's call it something that exists both in the military and in civilian life. Is it because of the Chief of Staff's strategic mindset? And I want to go even further with you, ask the question. I'm always on the same page. Both the military and the civilian mechanism, everyone is caught up in this terrible mess of the concept and what came before it. And so, in my view, it's not just the army, that's also the civilian one. And maybe you're defending the civilians because you're actually voting.
I'm not defending anyone because of the army.
Why aren't you paying attention to the army? Why aren't you paying attention to my citizenship?
I said that's a lot. The military's approach and the fact that the army and the civilian leadership haven't managed to build a shared responsibility for things under the civilian leadership's guidance. I remind you that, for example, you can say a lot of things about the Chief of Staff, but that guy from the General Staff didn't actually grow up in the unit at all. He arrived as a disruptor and a sickly person, and he grew in the special units of the paratroopers like the Raven Company. But this chief of staff isn't important, it's settled. He will be the chief of staff appointed by a government that wasn't in power at the time he was. He took on the role, something that was already clear back then would severely impact the chief of staff and damage the military standing. I'll be much more specific today. We need to choose a chief of staff. Everyone was talking about this chief of staff, saying, what's up with him? The defense minister interviewed him and had a chat with him. You can't not talk about things like drafting the ultra-Orthodox. Why? Because you need to build responsibility. The relationship between the military and society in Israel is so dominant that you need to approach it correctly. But really, how much can you take in? Where do you see the ultra-Orthodox serving? Can't you understand them culturally? Do you remember that stupid move with fighting the elders? Those who grew beards? I said, Rav Kochavi, are you guys crazy? That's their culture. They'll come with their Torah scrolls.
And what about the sideburns?
Their sideburns, the fringes, the shofars, and you.
And today you'll get it. There are yellow fringes, you've probably seen them already.
Talit, yes, with...
This small talit, no.
You can always say it, but you can't always do it.
There's nothing we can do to help.
We have a shekel on every center's chicken. Once I said, why don't we just make the deputy chief of staff already? Why don't we make a khaki kippah, like an army kippah? But I saw it carefully. People really don't want it. They do. But just a bit of identity, you know?
You're right. But I noticed that women, I saw women, they want to have, I don't know what to call it, a culture. I don't know what it's called.
Headscarf.
A headscarf is fine, you guys.
We don't really know, do we?
A really beautiful word, in my opinion, is wonderful.
It's interesting to me. Let's get back to the point. There's no need to get into arguments about the Messiah being handsome, and the Messiah won't be leading the army. So there's nothing to worry about.
Let's get back to that topic.
I'm just saying we need to talk to the next chief of staff and the candidates about things. Otherwise...
If they talk to him, I'd be mad at myself then.
Wait, you just found out he doesn't think that at all?
Were we sitting in our roles while you were in yours? In my role, I was involved in countless meetings, I think, certainly dozens, if not hundreds, if not more than 100 times, with receptions, employees, executives, committees, all sorts of things. This is what you need to do in such meetings. Talk about everything. Do you want to see thoughts? What if there will be...
Why? Because in the end, it's necessary. And if there's no shared responsibility, then the political leaders who, when they fail, are called politicians, and the top military officers who, when they fail, are called generals, each of the generals, the commanders, are saying that they weren't given clear instructions for the war objectives. And the politicians, what are they saying? They're saying the generals didn't succeed, so they're just whining.
A question to wrap up this section on responsibility. So, do you think the responsibility lies solely with the IDF?
No, I think there's a shared responsibility, and it obviously is.
And she'll say what it is.
The political leadership needs to set clear goals and insist on full control. Give me the keys.
All right, just so you know, Tal, I didn't hear you. Okay, I kind of want to ditch this whole scene. I wish I could just leave it altogether. She has the impression that for many more years, her rights will weigh on us, and the troubles that will come from the Lebanon, Syria, on the sidelines, because Syria, in my opinion, is just the beginning, and you still don't know what's there, right? And Syria too.
A situation where Syria is no longer Syria, I suggest calling it ex-Syria to you, because there's no Syria anymore. By the way, there has never been a Syrian nation.
It's new.
All these Sykes-Picot countries.
Exactly the 20th century.
Not all of them, but most. And we have something very important in Syria, which is to establish a new borderline, but let's focus on Lebanon.
Because what I want to do is escalate it. I looked at what happened a week ago in Lebanon. On one hand, I thought, great, there's a fresh breeze blowing this time, with compliments for the government, Bibi, and even the army. Those who tried to enter what was called the buffer zone, they were shot. Without a second thought, they were killed there, flew away and left the place. I don't know what they tried, but here we are finally acting differently. But we didn't sign an agreement that it would be a buffer zone, and there won't be a buffer zone there for you, Sure.
We thought about it, yeah, but
we didn't do it.
Here, in other places too, I said it's a matter of life and death to change the border, to deploy the army across all the assets that are in question.
In the agreement, those who return with everyone are Hezbollah members.
They're all Shia, and all the Shia support Hezbollah. What happened is that, in my opinion, it was forced upon us. And we're right in the middle of this.
Who agreed on what?
Americans.
Who's American?
Practically done by Trump.
Say.
When Trump says it, I'm raising hell. So it's clear he's referring to Hamas and not...
I was thinking too.
Who's influencing this? The temperature is mainly rising around here. So Lebanon is almost like Gaza. Not that the situation is the same, but it's similar to Gaza. Why? We need to secure the border just like in Gaza. We should work with the Egyptians along the Egyptian border, both inside and out, and everywhere else too. In Lebanon, we first need the army to be stationed on the ridges that overlook Metula, Manara, Margaliot, Misgavam, Shlomi, and so on. We need an area that I call the death zone. Why? Because it's the area between South Korea and North Korea, but why do we need it?
But no.
We didn't just do it right. Well, first of all, it's not too late to figure out how to do it.
But there's an agreement.
There's an agreement. About the agreement, let me tell you something regarding agreements. As the head of the security delegation, in all of Israel's negotiations during the process,
to a decision.
Today, the process is not no, no. The process went smoothly. Do you remember those temporary agreements? There's a story in them that you can always tell, and rightly so. The other side isn't following through with them. The Lebanese army doesn't enforce them. It's not even structured to do so, even if it wanted to.
He'll keep them. Half of the army is Shiite, cousins and brothers of
Hezbollah. So why do we need to do this in the first place? Do you know why? Who decides when the residents can return to the northern border? The answer is whoever the family decides. The families will decide, not the council head, not the command chief, and not the prime minister. At the end of the families, I've even heard of families where the dad came back to the farm or the chicken coop and so on, and the woman says to him, I'm not coming with the kids because it's partly because they've discovered the perks of the city center, but also because Uzi doesn't feel secure.
Thanks a lot, Judge.